Yeah, just a second. Okay, yeah, because all I heard was the background noise of you walking around and stuff. And that was recorded.
Welcome to Word from the Herd with Passionate Pachyderms. We're glad you all joined us today. We have a very special live stream we're going to put out here. We don't have a whole lot of people watching or listening right now, but we have a few, and we're hoping that with this live stream and the recording of it, word will start to get out about the subject matter, and that this will in some way help the problem that exists with pain management and patients suffering from chronic intractable pain. The song Her Diamonds by Rob Thomas, formerly of Matchbox 20, was written for Rob's wife, Marcelle, who lives with a painful autoimmune disease. In the song, Rob describes his wife's crushing pain and her attempts to overcome it as he looks on helpless. A link to the video is provided below in the description box. We are using Rob's music under the Fair Use Act in an attempt to educate the general public, law, policy, and regulation makers about the plight of chronic intractable pain sufferers and their inability to obtain adequate pain relief medications due to ever more restrictive regulations meant to reduce overdose deaths caused not by medications prescribed to legitimate intractable pain patients, but primarily by the recreational use of illegal and illegally obtained drugs and mixing those drugs with other substances. Though this is established fact, over 10 million Americans suffering debilitating and intractable pain who need prescription pain medications to function in their daily lives. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Lost my place here. Are being forced to pay the price and suffer the consequences of crimes and actions committed by those obtaining and using illegal street drugs, many of whom are addicts. Those truly in need of opiate pain medications to function in daily life do things like hold their children or grandchildren, take a shower, get dressed, or walk to their mailbox, have had their life-saving pain medication severely reduced and in some cases cut off altogether. They have been left to suffer in excruciating pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have done nothing wrong. Yet we are the ones being punished for the crimes and misdeeds of others. Our doctors are terrified to help us, though they desperately want to, because they're virtually terrified if they do, their ability to practice in their chosen profession will be threatened, excuse me, and their license can and will be revoked by DEA or other government oversight attack dogs. We, the 10 million plus chronic intractable pain sufferers of the United States who need long-acting, long-term pain medications to function, are human beings. We deserve to be heard. Our pain deserves to be treated adequately and appropriately with safe, effective opiate pain medications that are readily available, legally prescribed by physicians who know our complicated medical histories and us as individuals best, without influence or interference from any government agency or entity. Further, we object to the Center for Disease Control's interference in our medical care. The CDC, who has admitted to having fabricated numbers and reported them as factual to support their completely unsubstantiated assertions that intractable pain sufferers should be limited to 90 milligram morphine equivalent MME per day, regardless of their debilitating condition. The CDC, who found it unnecessary to consult with any pain management professionals, intractable pain patients, excuse me, or other professionals specializing in the treatment of chronic intractable pain. Prior to the establishment and dissemination of their arbitrary 90 MME limit, but rather consulted only mental health professionals specializing in addiction to make their determination. No scientific studies were done, no documented proof from those medical professionals dealing with the management of intractable pain daily, or articles written from them were cited. It is the CDC's opinion that only cancer patients should be allowed needed pain medications in doses higher than this limit, and even then, only in special cases. This despite the fact that the FDA has determined through scientific studies that severe cancer pain is virtually indistinguishable from severe non-cancer pain. It is the FDA's conclusion that physical pain is physical pain, that there's no distinction that separates severe cancer pain from pain caused by other diseases or conditions, and all intractable long-term pain should be adequately and appropriately treated regardless of its origin. We agree with this. If you are reading, listening, or watching this stream, chances are it's because you or someone you love and care about suffers from intractable pain that is currently being undertreated or untreated due to recently changing rules and restrictions brought about primarily by the CDC's unsubstantiated recommendation 2 years ago. Their lives have been taken from them. Your time with them has been and will continue to be stolen from them and from you. There have been countless instances of intractable pain sufferers having committed suicide due to having their pain meds greatly reduced or stopped completely. Being unwilling or unable to continue to suffer in agony and without hope of relief in the future, they chose to end their lives. Similarly, there have been countless chronic pain sufferers who, when so severely restricted or cut off of the safe opiate pain medications prescribed by medical professionals, turned to the only place they could for relief, the streets and illegal drugs, like heroin and bootlegged fentanyl, in desperate attempts to relieve their debilitating pain enough to return them to some quality of life and ability to function. They do this in spite of the inherent dangers and risks involved in doing so, only to then become victimized again when those unsafe, illegal, and illegally obtained and manufactured drugs cause overdoses and death. They do this in spite, thus proving that reducing the amount of prescription pain medications those suffering intractable pain can obtain does nothing to reduce the instances of illegally obtained drug overdose deaths. It has, in fact, instead increased them. Desperate people will do desperate things to escape unrelenting physical pain, not because they are addicts, but because they are in great physical pain and desperate for relief. We in the United States, as the leaders of the free world, have a choice. We can lead by doing the right thing, mandating that all pain is to be adequately and appropriately treated using any and all avenues available and deemed necessary by licensed medical professionals treating those who suffer intractable pain, including the safe, effective use of opiate pain medications in whatever doses and quantities the patient and their medical professional deem effective and adequate for the treatment of that person's pain without restriction. Keywords: without restriction. Or we can be seen as monsters whose priorities and regard for human life and suffering are so twisted and skewed that we treat animals who are suffering with more compassion, dignity, and attention than we do human beings suffering intractable pain. Those who choose to misuse, mix, steal, and use drugs illegally and suffer from addiction should be treated for addiction if they choose to be. If, however, they don't choose treatment, they should be regarded as adults who are free to make their own decisions and choices and suffer whatever consequences come of those decisions and choices. Having an addiction problem does not and should not ever be used as an excuse to absolve any individual of the consequences of their actions. This may seem cruel and uncaring to some. That is unfortunate, as those very individuals are the ones who, knowingly or not, have perpetuated this problem. Actions, indeed, have consequences, and it makes zero difference whether those actions were taken while sober or intoxicated. Along those same lines, doctors can no more control what a patient does outside their office with prescriptions obtained by unscrupulous patients than any of us can control whether or not an individual makes a choice to get drunk, get into a 200-pound weapon we call an automobile, run a stop sign, critically injuring several people and killing others. In both cases, those are choices individuals make all on their own. Both are addictions, and both individuals must ultimately suffer the consequences for their actions. Not the bartender who made the drinks, not the doctor who writes the prescription for a patient skilled in manipulation and deception. No one forces anyone to buy, sell, or use drugs illegally in ways other than prescribed or mix them with other drugs and alcohol. Similarly, no one forces an individual to stop at a bar, have several drinks, then walk to their car, start it, and drive it through a stop sign, hurting and killing people. These are choices addicts make, just as getting help or not is a choice they make. Those choices have zero bearing on whether or not a legitimate intractable pain patient should be able to obtain enough pain medication from their treating physician to adequately control their pain. Those suffering chronic intractable pain are not addicts. They are patients with legitimate medical conditions that cause debilitating, unceasing physical pain. As an adult, an addict is free to make the choices that they do. Why then, in God's name, shouldn't an adult intractable pain patient be equally free to make safe, informed choices along with their licensed healthcare professionals regarding the treatment of their pain, what to treat that pain with, and how much is needed. This is a personal choice, decision, and responsibility. It is not one our government should be involved in at any level nor in any way. In our society, an addict deserves as many chances as is needed to get clean, get help, and get their life back. Why is it intractable pain sufferers do not deserve the chance to have their debilitating intractable pain adequately and appropriately treated by medical professionals with safe, effective medications in sufficient doses and quantities to return as much quality to their lives as possible? Why are pain patients, those who didn't choose to become ill or suffer from injuries and diseases that result in unrelenting pain, instead be the ones currently forced to endure unrelenting pain, forced to, instead of getting the help and treatment they need, told just to live with it? Pain so severe in many cases they are driven to suicide or illegal and unsafe substances and street drugs in order to obtain relief. This isn't something one simply learns to live with. And anyone who makes a stupid-ass remark like that has no clue what it's like to live with intractable pain on a daily basis. Excuse me. In what world does this make any sense whatsoever? So I say to you, we are the only ones who find this important enough to fight for. No one will step forward to be our champion or white knight. We fight daily just to function. We're no strangers to doing battle, so join with us. Fight for us. Fight now as though your quality of life going forward depends on it. Because if you suffer from intractable pain or you love someone who does, it does. Take 10 minutes to go to our website, passionatepachyderms.com, and check out the story, CDC admits they artificially inflated number of deaths caused by prescription pain medications. Within it, you will find a link to make a comment to the FDA about how these restrictions on pain medications have affected you, your pain level, and your quality of life. This is your choice, and your chance to change things. You have a say, and you can be heard. My advice is, take it. I know I have. Don't look back, and keep fighting. Pyro, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do, and thank you, Packy.
Go ahead, Pyro. Pyro, did we lose you? Well, while we're waiting for Pyro to come back, I'd just like to say that the links for both Rob Thomas's song, Her Diamonds, and Passionate Pachyderms are in the description box underneath the live stream. Should you choose to go and check those out, I really recommend you watch Rob Thomas's video. I saw it for the first time yesterday and literally sobbed after seeing it because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be the one who suffers, and I know what it's like to see my husband's face when he watches me suffer. So that is a very profound video, and one I highly recommend anybody who's suffering or who loves someone who is to go and watch. Again, the Passionate Pachyderm link, website link is also there. Please go read that article. It is crucially important that we get the word out about this. And it's equally important that you take that 10 minutes and you send the FDA a short email that says how this is affecting you, because it's affecting all of us. The other night, I was on another live stream, and we just happened to start talking about chronic pain and people being in chronic pain, and I could not believe how many people chimed in and said, "Me too. I can't get my medications. My medications have been cut in half. I've been restricted. My medications have been taken away altogether. I can't find a pain management doctor. I can't find a doctor who will treat me." And this was in one live stream for which the content had absolutely nothing to do with pain management or pain at all. It couldn't have been further from it. We are out there everywhere, and we are the ones who are being ignored. And we're being ignored because we're not speaking up. So please speak up. Pyro, are you back with us? I'm not sure what happened to her. Stick with me for just a moment. Let me see if I can get her on Discord. Sorry, Pyro's having a few technical difficulties. I'm sure she'll be with us in just a minute. In the meantime, just yesterday, my daughter, my youngest daughter, also suffers from intractable pain. She has several neurological conditions, as well as hereditary from me, autonomic nervous system disorders, and she suffers from pain to the point where she's in a wheelchair. However, she has been unable for the past 3 years to find a doctor who is willing to treat her pain. They won't give her anything at all for pain. And she can't find a pain management physician anywhere. The pain management physicians that are out there simply do not want to treat chronic pain patients. If they do, they want to do it with injections, which in some cases work. In many cases, they don't. In many cases, they make matters worse. I know I myself, I've had several injections, not because I wanted them and not because it was medically advisable, really, for me to have them, because I suffer from indolent systemic mastocytosis, which creates an enormous number of medical issues, especially regarding medications and allergic responses to medications. So it's never, ever a good idea for me to have anything like an injection, because we just don't know how my body will respond to it. But I've been desperate, and I've been told, we can't give you these medications unless you consent to having these injections. What choice at that point did I have? Have no treatment, no pain management, and no medications, or submit to this and take the chance that I could have a life-threatening anaphylactic reaction. Well, I choose to to have my pain at least a little bit controlled, as opposed to being without anything at all. So I've had the injections. I've also consented to having I can't remember what it's called exactly, but they go in and they burn the nerves in your spine so that they don't send pain signals to your brain anymore. I've had that done twice. No, actually, I've had it done 3 times. Once it worked. The other 2, it didn't. Now my insurance company won't pay for it anymore because it didn't work often enough. So where does that leave me? Where does it leave other people like me? Pyro, are you back with us?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yay.
So yes, I am here.
Okay. And you wanted to make comments?
Actually, yeah, I did. This thing with the medication is actually kind of a personal one for me. My mother in the mid 90s was diagnosed with osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis. Right about 1999, she was starting to be denied pain medications due to the volume it was taken to control her pain. Her bones were so fragile that even if she turned sideways the wrong way, she would break things. That's how she broke her back. So she took another route. The route she took for pain control helped to a certain degree, but it ended up shortening her life, and she passed away before her 60th birthday. She developed pneumonia and wasn't able to fight it off due to the damage of what she had to do to survive the pain. Personally, it sucked. I'd like to still have my mom around. There's no reason she should have died that young, except for the effects of what she did to be able to survive and have some quality of life. I have no problem with people having opiates. I hate the way that they classify the death by opiate in most states, where if they even find a trace of opiates in your system, if they have to do a drug test, that it is classified as death by opiates, regardless of the primary chemical in your body. That's all I got. Thanks.
Right, and they're classifying prescription pain medications as the same. They're classifying them the same as heroin or illicitly manufactured fentanyl.
Exactly.
And the CDC knows full well that it's not prescription pain medications. It's not the doctors who are writing prescription pain medications that are contributing to these overdose deaths. They know it. But for whatever reason, they chose to put out this false narrative and to influence the medical professionals out there throughout the United States into refusing to treat chronic pain patients. I'm not sure who's behind this. I'm not sure what the reason is. I don't happen to believe that it is solely an altruistic attempt to reduce the number of overdose deaths throughout the United States. I do not believe that. I think quite possibly there's something else at the root of this. I have no idea what it is, but it is not right to leave people who are in pain, who are suffering. I've even heard of, in some cases, hospice patients are having trouble getting adequate pain medication. We left those kinds of archaic thoughts and beliefs in the dust back in the early 80s. And now all of a sudden we have to fight the same battle over again? That pain should be treated and should be addressed and should be adequately treated and addressed? What right does the CDC and some psychologist who specializes in addiction medicine, of all things, not pain control, but addiction medicine, what right did they have to set an arbitrary limit on medication for people who are in intractable pain, regardless of their diseases or the pain-causing condition? The CDC knows full well that the FDA has done studies on this, and there is literally no difference between cancer pain and any other kind of pain. Pain is pain. It needs to be treated. Period. It's insane, this whole merry-go-round we're on. And the only people, the only ones who are paying the price are those who suffer intractable chronic pain, the people that care for them, their loved ones. It makes no sense to force these people to pay the price for the illegal, illicit use of street drugs and people overusing them or not knowing what they're taking, or for whatever reason, overdosing on them. That has nothing to do with people like me who are in chronic pain every day. People who most days can't take a shower, can't get dressed. It's not right. But people like Pyro's mother, who took an alternative avenue. But the bottom line is, if she suffered the kind of chronic, intractable pain most of us do, that kind of pain shortens your life, because your body is so consumed and so exhausted from trying to fight that kind of pain every minute of every single day, that it has, after a very short period of time, it has nothing left to fight off disease or illness with. There's just nothing there. There's nothing in reserve, because pain has taken everything from people like us. It is not a mental thing, it is a physical thing, and it does shorten people's lives. Pyro, do you have anything else to add?
No, actually I don't. Thank you.
Okay, once again, please, I implore you to go to passionatepachyderms.com, check out that article, send a short note to the FDA, let them know that what's happening in the United States to pain patients and intractable pain patients is not right. And you won't stand for it. You don't want it. If you're a pain patient, let them know how it's changed your life, how it's taken your quality of life from you, and how the inability to get adequate pain control has affected you, your family, your loved ones. I am Passionate Pachyderms, the brutally honest elephant in every room. Thanks for joining us. This has been Word from the Herd. Have a good day.